Summer sky, sleeping since you woke. In pools, street light on the ground. Go and find strangers that you know.
At York on October 19, 1781, after a siege of 19 days by 5,500 American and 7,000 French troops at the line, 3,500 Virginia militia under command of General Thomas Nelson and 36 French ships of war, Earl Cornwallis, commander of the British forces at York and Gloucester, surrendered his army to His Excellency George Washington, Commander-in-Chief of the Combined Forces of America and France.
Let's kick out the windows, let's ride on the wall, climb over the fences, run down the hall. In the light diet, we'll rage and fight, go kicking and screaming into that good night.
Here is the second siege line at the Battle of Yorktown. These trenches were dug in the dead of night on October 11th and 12th. Much to the consternation of the British, who would soon find that their enemies were within point-blank range. They'd fire over these earthworks. This is known as Redoubt 10, not the original. They reconstructed it because after 175 years, it's been washed away to the tides. But, important to note, Alexander Hamilton led the charge with 400 American soldiers to retake this, and retake it they did! And they did it armed only with bayonets on the end of their empty muskets. They had emptied them out because they didn't want an accidental discharge to alert the British, who didn't know that they were advancing in the middle of the night, to overtake it.
We'll sing when the river thaws till we rouse.
And you guys, my hair just keeps getting bigger. I've stopped fighting it. It's what happens in this weather. Thanks, Virginia.
At least if not
This is Moore House, belonging to Augustine Moore. And this was the site where they hashed out terms of surrender after the Battle of Yorktown. Each side sent 2 representatives. The British wanted to surrender with full honors, but that was something that they had denied the American troops in Charleston. So the Americans this time said, nope, sorry, not happening. You're not gonna surrender with full honors. And they had to leave behind their weapons, their flags. And it was all negotiated here. Fireflies. So cool, we don't have fireflies on the West Coast. I've only heard about them. And do you hear that thunder? It's very dark in here for 6 o'clock at night. It's because the storm clouds moved in. Look at the fireflies.
we'll still kick out the windows, ride on the walls.
Man, it started pouring. Now I don't want to get out of the car, but this is the last stop. This is Surrender Field where it all went down.
Go kicking and screaming into that good night.
The snare drum consists of a hollow wooden shell made of ash, maple, oak, or any other hardwoods that were grown locally. When these snares were tightened, the drum had a crisp sound that could be heard all across the battlefield. When the snares were loosened, however, the drum had a deeper, more mellow sound. It was played this way on more somber occasions, such as funerals or executions. Now on the drum, we play simple rudiments, such as the flam, the ruff, the paradiddle, and the double stroke roll. When you put these together, you get a simple beat. Thank you.
First being Yankee Doodle, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. This was a tune sung and written by the British to mock the American colonists. Yankee referring to the colonists themselves, and Doodle referring to them as dumb, foolish farmers. They added further insult by saying we rode in on a pony, because a pony is neither a strong nor sturdy workhorse. It's just a small children's animal that no man would want to be seen riding upon at the time. And lastly, they said we stuck a feather in our hat and called it macaroni. The feather they were referring to is our cockades, and macaroni was the term for the style of fashion of the day, such as silk frills, powdered wigs, and long flowing dresses. So in all, the British were calling the Americans dumb, foolish farmers, riding around on children's horses, trying unsuccessfully to fit in the fashion of the day. However, time would prove them wrong, because the Americans would go on to adopt the tune as a mark of national honor, and even added new phrases to praise George Washington and poke fun at the British. It is written, as the British marched to surrender, they turned their heads and refused to look at the American troops. So General Lafayette ordered the American Light Infantry Corps to play Yankee Doodle in response.
Oh boy! I'm headed to Colonial Williamsburg. Going back in time. Which used to be the capital of Virginia in the 18th century. It's a large outdoor museum now. You can just walk in and speak with the local colonials, and they'll answer your questions, and it's great fun. Living history is what it is.
We'll continue to see what we've been breathing in, breathing out. Fills my life, fills me up. Hold on, my mind is racing.
And oh, you use this to clip off the little
Yep, you put it there, snip it off.
nub. Okay.
Down, we've been faltered. I know we gotta go take this leap of breathing in, breathing out. Fills my life, fills me up. Breathing in, breathing out.
It breaks my heart that I missed Axe League on Monday. So to make up for it, I thought I'd do an 18th century range. This is the public jail, Virginia's chief prison, where Blackbeard's pirates captured in 1718 were confined until the day of their hanging. Courtyard. And then some cells, which are actually pretty spacious. This is the old Capitol. Apparently, Patrick Henry was a regular. It's where he first kindled the flames of revolution in 1765.
that John Payne Jr. did agree to pay a sum of £10 to William Hicks if he would serve as an alternate for him in the 2nd Virginia Regiment for one campaign. Mr. Hicks did enlist, but Mr. Payne had fraudulently refused to pay the bounty. The plaintiff, therefore, seeks damages of £10 as well as court costs.
Your Honors, I did ask Mr. Hicks to serve in my place, and I did agree to pay him 10 pounds as a bounty to do so. But sirs, the company that he served in was called out for less than a fortnight before being sent home without seeing any action. Gentlemen, it is not fair that I should pay him the full amount for such a short length of time, especially considering that Mr. Hicks never faced an enemy and was therefore never under any danger or risk.
By show of hands.
We went to the 1700s with the Revolutionary War and then colonial times in Williamsburg. But now I take you back even further to 1607, the Jamestown settlement, the first permanent English settlement in the Americas, with this woman right here, Pocahontas. She stands in front of a recreation of the original historic Jamestown fort. Right here on May 13th, 1607, 104 English men and boys set about making a permanent establishment. Here's a model of the original fort. They were able to determine during archaeological digs as well as descriptions of the fort based on people's first-hand accounts and their journal entries. East Bulwark, the James Fort, 1607. In the name of King James. Based on these holes they found when excavating, they were able to construct this frame structure, what probably stood here. Out of the waters of the James River, the 3 boats would have sailed up.
Most of those who arrived in the early days, 16, 7, 8, 9, those early days, you're going to be walking on them. They're in the dirt. By the hundreds. More died than lived. More died than lived. Matter of fact, 6 months after that first arrival took place on the 13th of May of 1607, 6 months later, half were dead.
They're still excavating here in Jamestown, and this is the cellar kitchen, where the remains of butchered animals, horses and dogs were found, including a skull, mandible, and leg bone of an English girl, probably about 14. They think she was eaten. Cannibalism was a fact during that hard year between 1609 and 1610 when there was a drought and there was nothing to eat. They ate each other. They have a statue of Captain John Smith, who would later be governor of Virginia in 1608. And he's described as an arrogant, boastful man. He also wrote a lot of books about the area and mapped out the Chesapeake Bay, and people relied on his books, which makes me think of Gilderoy Lockhart, Harry Potter. Seems like that's the kind of individual he was. And apparently he liked to make up stories about him and women. This idea of him being saved by Pocahontas might not have even happened, because he was known to embellish a lot. In 1607, 3 ships landed here, dropping off 104 English men and boys. And it wouldn't be until 1619 when they brought a significant amount of women. 90 single women were dropped off here. with the expectation that they would marry and start families to really establish this settlement. It just makes you wonder about those 90 single women and how they set about getting married once they landed here. Oh, the selection process. I mean, were they just sitting there going, pick me, oh I hope he picks me. It just sounds awful. Awful. You're like, I hope I like someone in the crowd. Oh my gosh. Ugh, colonial times. I don't want to go back there. Those ships came just around the river bend. I know it has zero historical accuracy, but being here makes me want to watch Disney's Pocahontas and paint with all the colors of the wind. You can own the earth and still, all you'll own is earth until